Howdy, Dylan with Paul's Axe Portable Sawmill here. I want to take a minute since I'm just kind of farting around at home today, just to make a quick video on, I get asked a lot by my customers, especially new customers, how they should set up their logs, where they should put them, how much room I need, stuff like that, what to do before and after I'm there basically. I just wanted to touch on that, a few things that are important that you maybe being the customer would want to keep in mind. I don't need a whole lot of room. You know, I do need some room. Not every yard is conducive to cutting lumber in. Most driveways can work. Obviously you're not going to want to leave your wood there. Something to keep in mind, but I do a lot of it right in the driveway if it's just a few. Let me shut that off and take that off the tripod and kind of walk around and show you how I sort of like to set it up. This is just here at my place. I don't do a whole lot of sawing here, but I kind of have a little spot picked out for it. But I'll show you what it looks like and what you're getting. Okay, here's looking at a couple logs I got sitting here from the back. This is kind of, you know, the saw's got to be parallel to your log pile. You know, ideally you can stack them up as tight together as you can. In the winter, it's especially important in the winter time, keep them off the ground, because you pile them up in the fall on the ground, they're going to freeze right in, and then we won't be moving them. But anyway, I got just some skids out here I use. I mean, there's never any logs on here unless I'm going to be sawing, but all my other log piles are skidded up off the ground so I can get them loose, because they'll freeze down pretty damn good. And you know, you can go after it with a couple felling wedges and a maul, and a lot of times you can pop them loose and get them to roll. But anyway, you know, you want your log pile, however big it's going to be up off the ground. Another thing is, if you have different length stuff, this is all 100-inch bolts from the logger. Don't worry about getting the butt ends flush. You want the center of the logs. Let's see. You want the center of the logs to be. That's how I line up, is on the center of the pile. So if I got, you know, this is 8-foot stuff. If there's 10s, 12s, 16s in there, you know, you want all the centers. You know, you let them hang out both sides, not just all on one end. When that happens, you put the long ones in with the short ones. You know, when you flush the butts up, then sometimes I can't get them on the mill. There's too much weight, you know, off one side of the loading arms or what have you. Ideally, you should keep your lengths in separate piles. That way, when the lumber is coming off the mill, depending on what I have for space on the other side, you don't want to mix your length up in the sticker pile. That'll throw your pile off big time. You'll have stuff unsupported and all kinds of good stuff like that. I'll just kind of walk around here, show you what it looks like. He's looking at it from the back. I'd say from the front of the logs, so, you know, the first log in the pile, you know, to where how much room I need. You know, the lumber piles, they go perpendicular to the mill, so I'm able to stack and sticker as I'm sawing. I can work with other situations if it's a smaller volume of wood. You know, this isn't much wood here. If a guy had to put that 20 feet away, I guess a guy could, but ideally you're going to need about 20 to 30 feet from the first log, you know, coming out perpendicular from the log pile this direction, you know, 20 to 30 feet out, depending on the length of your wood. This is 10-foot stuff that I got there. This here is 8. You know, if you got 16, you're going to add that much for length and space you need over there. Another thing to consider, like I said, driveways are pretty conducive. Any open field, level ground, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can tell or not, but this is not level. I got the mill kind of sitting, it's high on the loading side, and I do that on purpose. That way the wood rolls on a little easier, and I don't like it low on the loading side. It's got to be pretty level. It don't need to be concrete flat, but fairly level. You know, no hillsides or ditches or stuff like that. That's just asking for a disaster. So I won't set up on a spot like that. But you can kind of, I don't know if you can tell or not, but you can kind of tell by the head of the saw there. She's It's definitely high on the loading side. Probably a little bit more, there's a little snow under the tires today, but a little bit more than I'd like it, I guess. But I like to have it a little bit that way. The slabs, depending on if I'm working alone or if I have help. If I'm working alone, I take the slabs off the hitch end of the mill. This would be the hitch end of the mill, the operator side, and I pile them over here, just kind of behind the saw. The wood over here, but and there's got to be room for the pickup. I come to a lot of jobs where they got that log pile. I kind of got my little wood shed out here and just keep all my crap in there. I'll say that log pile is your front of your house, your garage. They got the log pile that close. Well, there ain't no hitch on the other end of the mill I can stab it in with, so I gotta have room for the pickup. Right now the truck's pretty close to the side. I just came back from lunch, so I usually keep it another 5 to 10 feet away. So I need room for the truck there too, and the truck's got to be near me. That's where all my tools, blades, saw, metal detector, all my stuff is in there. So that's kind of part of the deal there too. So let me get back farther away. Maybe you can get a better angle, but this is kind of what it looks like space-wise. That mill's about 26 feet long total. Truck, what's a truck? 20 foot, something like that. 18, whatever they are. So I need enough room to be able to come in and pull up parallel to that log pile. It doesn't matter if I have to back in whatever side of the road's on, that's fine. Or field edges work great. Lumber going out into the field, that works good. But that's kind of the, a rough, kind of look at the space that I need there when I'm coming in to a new spot. Anyway, hope that helps. I'm gonna move a little bit and I'll show you a little something on how to stack and sticker and take care of your wood once I'm gone. Alright, sticker and lumber. Well, I get asked how to do that all the time, and it's pretty simple. I will normally sticker the lumber off the saw as I'm cutting it, and I don't charge any additional for that. I don't charge you for the stickers. I do charge you for cutting the 4x4s, of course, but I don't scale stickers or anything like that. If I have to move the lumber after the fact, once I'm done sawing, if it has to go back where the logs were or something like that, then I charge accordingly for that. But anyway, here's this is just a couple logs I had kicking around. Just had to burn them up for something here, but some 2x6 and 2x4 and some 4x4s here. But this stuff is 10 foot long. I'm using 5 stickers. I make my stickers 1 inch by 1 inch by 4 foot long. They're a little over 4. Actually, them piles are a little short to 4 foot. 4 foot wide is the widest you want to go on a sticker pile. No, don't. Sometimes if I leave and I forget to cut the stickers in half, like these here, I've gone by that pile again and seen they made the pile, 8 foot wide. I guess that's my bad. But if you make them 8 feet wide, you won't get enough air circulation to dry the center of the lumber pile, and you'll get mold, and it just won't ever dry out, and it's no good. But 4 foot wide, however long the pile is, on 8 foot material I use 4 stickers. That's 8 foot's gonna be your most common length you deal with. I'm not saying every 2 feet you gotta add a sticker. Sometimes on 16 foot stuff I might only use 6. It just depends on if it's 1 inch or how thick the stock is, how much support I think I need. The more the merrier. But usually, this is 10 foot, or right around 10, whatever the guy cut them at. But I'm using 5. So that's and you just space those stickers evenly, the length of the wood. You want to go as close to the end of the pile as you can with your last sticker, and it's real important that they stay lined up one on top of the other. And the idea being the weight bears down through the stickers, and not if you had one that was if they were 2-3 inches apart from each other, you could get some funky looking stuff when it goes to dry, especially your thinner stuff like 1 inch lumber, or especially 1 inch pine, or anything soft and thin. It kind of goes without saying, but I figured I'd better say it. Your 4x4s and stuff like that, you can get away with way less stickers. Obviously, the thicker it is, the less support you're going to need. The wood will kind of support itself. And these I just have sitting on some skids out in front of my saw here. None of this stays here. It all gets moved to somewhere else. And give me a sec. I'll walk over and show you how to build a pile base. Okay, here's the base for that wood I was just showing you. Pretty simple, I guess. Basically, the long 4x4s there, are 10 foot long as well. You want your, you know, you can consist of 2 4x4s on the bottom, and then 1 4-foot 4x4 for each sticker that you have in your length of lumber there, to support the weight of the stickers. Pretty self-explanatory. You know, like I say, if you're doing 8-foot stuff, this is 10. I should have 8 out here, but it takes 4 4x4s to make a base for 8-foot lumber. You take 2 of those and cut them down into 4-footers. Those are your short ones there, 1 under each sticker. It doesn't matter how far apart really those bottom ones are. I typically stretch them out a little bit. The closer together you go, it kind of makes up for uneven ground and this and that. And you do kind of want to shim this thing up so it's, you know, pretty level. It doesn't need to be perfect. It can slope one way or the other, but you want it all supported. You don't want, you know, you can see there's low spots here and there, but you know, and I haven't shimmed this up yet. But here's another pile I've had sitting here for a while. Same deal on the bottom. You know, 4x4s under each sticker. Your 2 long 4x4s under them. That gets you up off the ground about 8 inches. And when you have units like this, you know, you can see what I did there. Just, you know, the stuff that gets moved with the Bobcat and the pallet forks. You know, I can't move a pile that big when it's green, so got to do it in chunks. This came home on a trailer from a different job this summer, but so you can go as high as you really can reach. 1,000 foot. If you have 1,000 board feet in a pile, you end up it's somewhere around 6 feet tall. The pile will be 32 courses of 8 foot, 4 foot wide, makes 1,000 board feet. Double that in inches for your stickers thickness. And then on top of the pile, I don't have a lot on here. Ideally, you'd throw steel up there and cinder blocks, give it an overhang and all that good stuff, keep the rain, the weather. More important than the sun and the rain is to have a little weight up there. This stuff being bar top stuff on the top, I'm not too worried about it curling and moving, but that sun will curl up your top course of lumber real bad. I just got a few slabs up here. What I like to do is take a couple of, if I got some crummy 4x4s or even some crummy lumber laying around, I'll put those on top the pile perpendicular, maybe 2 or 3 of them. You know, if I can get a foot wider than the pile is on either side or more, all the better. And take some slabs from your logs and throw them up on top, kind of give yourself a little hood. You know, this is just what I had here that day when I unloaded it. I need to cover it better, but it keeps the snow and the sun and the rain off somewhat. You know, a little hat for your pile there. Another thing, if you are gonna sticker this stuff and leave it where I sawed, that is a good thing to do. For a couple of reasons. You know, you spread that sawdust around the base of your pile. You know, not like here, but that'll keep the weeds and stuff from growing up. Another big reason is when it rains. When the raindrops hit the ground, they splash water up on the bottom of your pile. And with water comes mud and dirt. And when you run that stuff through your planer, it can be hell on the knives. If you got real dusty kind of light soil in your yard, and it rains a lot, and you'll see the bottom of that pile will just be kind of brown with all that dirt. Well, it may not look like a big deal, but when you start planing that stuff, it'll take a lot of life out of your planer knives. So if you can throw sawdust around it to keep the dirt off the pile, keep the weeds from growing up, all the better. I could get talking about air drying here. Another thing to consider is the direction the lumber piles face. Depending on where you live and what species of wood it is, will make a big difference there. But right now we're facing straight north, and we're looking at it from the south. So the butt ends are facing east and west. And the reason I do that is not so much on the softwood, but on hardwoods especially. If you were to take this pile and turn it 90 degrees, and you had these butt ends facing the sun, when the sun beats on the end of those butt ends, it's going to split that lumber for sure. You'll get end checking it to some degree no matter what, especially if they're not end coated. But that sun will just raise particular hell on the end of your lumber, on the end of your boards there. So just face them east and west so they get, you know, the sun's hitting the side of the pile. Yeah, it'll gray out the side of the pile, and you can even take slabs and lean them up against your pile like that too if you wanted. Kind of block out some of that sun for air drying. I guess I'll just with air drying, you know, the rule of thumb, this stuff here, this is white pine 1x12, the lumber down below, and then some 3-inch and some 2.5, whatever they were, and a couple 4s in there. The rule of thumb, at least with softwoods, is it takes 1 year to dry 1 inch of thickness. That's not entirely true. It depends on what moisture content you're shooting for and what it was when you sawed the wood. Basically, one warm season. You saw that stuff in the early spring. By next fall, it's going to be down in that 15% range. 12 to 15%, depending on where you live, is about the relative moisture content you're going to be able to get it outside. You want it down to 6 or 8, it has to go into a kiln to get that. For 90% of stuff you're going to do, you can plane it just fine when it's down at 12. Your cabinets and furniture and stuff like that, you want to work with a more stable moisture. Something closer to the environment it's going to be. On exterior siding, not a big deal. Your studs, they come from the lumber yard, somewhere around 19% moisture content. They don't dry them down that much, because if they move a little, it's never going to be noticed. Doesn't matter. But the dryer, you can get it, and air drying is a great way to go. Kiln drying, unless you have a real experienced operator, you can wreck wood really fast in a kiln, and it happens all the time in my area here. But air drying is kind of a fail-safe. If you dry wood too fast in the beginning, you can really raise hell with it, and there's just a million different factors that go into drying wood properly. But air drying is kind of a really good fail-safe. Obviously, it's the easiest, most conducive to an operation like this, where you're hiring a sawmill to come and cut your own wood. You want to do this all yourself. You don't need a kiln. You can build little mock-up solar kilns and dehumidification kilns, even in your garage, with just a dehumidifier, a heater, and some polyplastic. There's ways of doing that, but anyway, just kind of a rough overview of what to do before and after, I guess, on the logs. To touch on that again, get them. They got to be cut to length. They got to be piled like this here. I come with my sawmill, my pickup, and hand tools, and a chainsaw. I do have a bobcat. If need be, you can hire that too, and I'll move your logs, get them whatever needs to be done. I don't drop any trees, but I can get them in a central location. But get them cut to the length that you want, and get them piled in a conducive spot in your yard to doing this. Take a little bit of extra care if you can to keep them out of the mud and the dirt. That just, as I said, that's hard on sharp edges. I do have a debarker on my mill here, but that doesn't get everything. So anyhow, keep them clean. Cut them to the length you want. Whatever length, up to 20 foot. This is a Wood-Mizer sawmill. I can do 20-foot length. As short as I guess I did one this morning for a guy that was, I don't know if it was 16 inches long. We had to screw it to a board, and it was kind of a menagerie, but none of that firewood. That's firewood. No short stuff. 5 foot. 5 foot's the shortest I can fit on the loading arm. So if it's a pretty good heavy thing and it's 4 feet long, there's ways of getting it up there. But 5 foot's pretty short. Cut the lumber in half later on, as I like to tell people. But I can do the short stuff if need be. Anyhow. I think that kind of covers it. Kind of what to expect, what to do when I'm done. It kind of makes a little bit of a mess, but and the slabs, you'll have that to deal with too, and they make great campfire wood, but or as I say, hats for piles and things like that. But I hope this helps, and stay warm.